Hello, everyone. I am so happy to be back together again for another episode of the Brutally Honest podcast. Gosh, this episode is... Okay, this is a good one. And I'm not just saying that because I'm really passionate about this topic. I'm saying it because it has single-handedly changed my life, the life of the people that I really love, and all of the clients that I have had the privilege of working with over the years. And it is this concept that we call spot it, you got it. Spot it, you got it. If you have been following me, even for like the last month over on socials, over on Instagram at Kathryn Ducey, you've probably heard me say this word, okay, or say this catchphrase. Now, I must share that I didn't coin the phrase, spot it, you got it. This isn't something that I came up with on my own. In fact, I heard it on a podcast in 2018. It was the Life Coach School podcast by Brooke Castillo, who's like the OG life coach. Okay, Brooke's been around for like 20 years. She really paved the way for the rest of us, and we are not worthy. Brooke, if you ever listen to this episode, I want you to know how much you changed my life over the years just from listening to your podcast. And she was sharing about this concept of basically what you see in other people is who you are. It's a part of you. She referenced something that I thought was really brilliant. At the time, I was just starting my career as a life coach. And so I was keenly interested in what other life coaches were seeing and some things that I could anticipate and connecting and seeing like what resonated. And she said that most people come to her, most clients come to her because they want to complain about other people. But what they see in other people is a part of them. It lives inside of them, a part of them that they don't want to see. That's the only reason it bothers them, and that's the only reason they actually spot it, is because they got it. So when I first heard about this, I was like, no way. This makes so much sense. And I wanted to first embody this concept before I started to teach it. So I started to really pay attention to any time I would be in someone's presence and I would start to feel those, those sensations that you feel in your body when you're around someone, and like the discomfort that starts to rise maybe in your chest, or you feel like a tightness or a clenching, or the energy is coming up really fast, right? From maybe your belly up to your chest, up to your throat, and wants to come out of your mouth. Or maybe the energy actually comes down and you feel like the weight of the world in your feet and you want to like hunker down. You feel like you need to like endure what this person is saying, right? Or you just completely want to check out of your body. Well, these are all signs of your body being overwhelmed and in a state of stress. And there's a number of ways that, us as human beings learned to deal with stress if our parents were unable to deal with their own and teach us how to deal with ours. Okay, so whenever you are triggered by someone, meaning, they've behaved in a certain way, or they've spoken in a certain way, or they've revealed a part of themselves, or said something, revealed some sort of information, and for you, it's like, what is even happening? How is this even a real thing? Or how is this person not ashamed of themselves, right? Or how is this person even allowed to do that? Or how dare they? Or aren't they wrong, right? This is what's happening in that split second. And then what you might want to do is you might want to shame them. You might want to prove them wrong. You might want to walk away from them. You might want to stop being friends with them, stop being in a relationship with them even, What we know is that every time you feel a response in your body to someone else's behavior, all that it's doing is it's showing you that there's a part of you that you probably had to repress or suppress in order to stay connected to your parents. And I know this as gospel now that I am a mother. I am constantly triggered by my two girls, 7 and 10. And every time I'm triggered by them, I know that I'm just looking in their mirror and spotting something that I also got, okay, that I probably was unable to express or properly embody as a kid because it made my parents feel uncomfortable. Spot it, you got it is a concept that has changed my life and the lives of the people that I really care about and the lives of my clients, because it allows you to recognize the parts of you that you have detached yourself from. And then it gives you the ability to reclaim those parts, because what we've seen is those parts of you are actually beautiful, even if for whatever reason you were taught that they're bad, okay, or wrong, or disgusting, or too much, or whatever it is, too little. So spot it, you got it is this concept that either you really love or you really don't love. Because what it does is it gives the person their power back, and it gives them the responsibility back to change their behavior, right? Alter their behavior, reclaim their truth, reclaim their voice, reclaim the shapes that their body really wants to take. You know, it gives them this ability to be their truest selves again. But most of us don't want to do that, because with being ourselves came a price as kids as well. I'll give you an example. My eldest, Lauren, loves to dance. She loves to dance. She's a terrific dancer, guys. She's got such moves. Like, it's insane what I see her do with her body. She definitely knows how to use her instrument, you know, her body, her instrument. And it's like life force energy flows through her and she just goes with it. And she's really, you know, her hips are really in it. And it's beautiful. Okay. It is something to be seen for sure. And she loves getting in front of the mirror, and she gets all like, you know, she gets a little sassy. She's a little sassy, and she's just unhinged. There's no shame for her. There's no hiding. There's no sort of diminishing, or there's no contracting. It's full on body movements, right? Imagine like dancers who are dancing for like Madonna, or, you know, a dancer who's dancing for any of those big performers, like even like J-Lo, like how they just move and groove their bodies. And it can appear sexy, but really it's just art. Like, it's just art, right? So she's a terrific dancer. And when I first moved in, Lauren would do dances for us and with her friends, and she gets in front of the mirror and she like really like grooves. And I immediately noticed that there were some really big sensations in my body, okay, when I would watch her. I felt them kind of in my chest area, and they would start to gradually get bigger and bigger. And the sensations really wanted to like come up and push against her. Okay, so I talk a lot about body and sensations and somatics with my clients, and you'll hear me talk about it a lot on here as well. Because the body keeps score, and it's always talking, and it's always giving you feedback. And most of us have just over time, because of the homes we grew up in, become disconnected from those sensations. And then we live up in our heads and we make all our decisions from our head, which is 10 out of 10, not the right thing to do. Not the most helpful thing to do, I should say. But I lived in my head for most of my life. So I'll notice that these sensations kind of want to come up and push out against her, okay? It kind of want to like suffocate her. Like, I would say, repress what she's doing. And I was really taken aback by it. Okay, at first I was like, oh geez, this is uncomfortable. I hoped it would stop, right? Or I hoped that she would stop, right? And then I noticed another thing I do is I look around the room at the other adults, and I might make a small comment like, oh, that's interesting, right? Like, from a place of feeling really uncomfortable and some shame coming up and discomfort. And I'm just not present. I'm shifting all over the place. If I'm sitting, I could probably pace the room. Frankly, I just want to walk away. This is really interesting. And it's an observation I made early on. Now, she's only continued to dance. She never stopped, and I never have told her to stop. But instead, what I've done is I've taken a look at what's happening inside of me and the spot it, you got it, that's happening there. So remember, everything you see outside of yourself that then creates some sort of a sensation in your body is something you want to look at, especially if those sensations, even if they're great sensations, but if it's an overwhelming feeling, if it's feelings of clenching, of tenseness, feelings of nervousness, embarrassment, right? Ooh, queasiness. Those are things you get to look at. And then you just get to honor that that's what's happening, and you get to dig a little bit deeper at what are those sensations trying to tell you. So what I've come to learn and embody is that what I was seeing was actually a part of me. I was looking in the mirror at parts of me that I've sadly, but I don't want to be, I'm not a victim. Sadly, but this was part of my journey, I disowned when I was a kid. And I know this to be true because I know that I love dancing and I know that I've got great rhythm. And I'm not entirely sure where along the way I decided that it wasn't safe to move my own body and to allow my life force energy to flow through me the way it really desires to. I can't pinpoint the exact moment, but I do remember moments even in elementary school. And we had dances back then. I don't even know if they have dances anymore, but like that was my favorite thing to do at school, is could not wait for the dance, which is interesting. And I also was a ballet dancer. I can kind of remember the time where I moved very freely and then where I started to get more rigid, where I started to get more performance-y, where I started to contain what I really wanted to do with my body. Okay, I can kind of see how that progression happened, but I can't pinpoint if something happened, okay, or what happened. I will say that my mom, bless her, she's always been a little sheepish around women being embodied around us. An embodied woman to me, it'll be different for everyone, but for me, an embodied woman is a woman who she's just in her body, right? She's not afraid to move it, to show it off. She's got this beautiful voice about her. She's smiling. There's this freeness to her, to the way that her hips move, to the way that she walks. It's not sexual, but I think that it's been sexualized by many people, and maybe my mom sexualized it too, right? There's this sensuality to it, right? She's connected to her 5 senses. And so my mom was often threatened by women like that. She would make little comments like, oh, that's interesting, or so-and-so is always wearing these sort of, sexy outfits, or she felt threatened by some of these women. And I didn't know that that's what was going on at the time, but I probably took on the belief that when you do that, you are judged, especially by the people that you love, right? And that you're not safe. It's not a good idea. I might have just unlocked something for myself. I might have just had an awakening moment. That's going to happen a lot on this podcast because I process a lot when I talk and when I tell stories. So here I am. I've got this, young person in my life now, and she's dancing, and I'm feeling all restricted and contracted in my body, and I want to push out against it, and I want to squash it, and I'm hoping it's going to stop. And because of my training and because of understanding Spotty You Got It, I look internally and I figure out, okay, well, there's something going on with me. This is not about her. Now, if you don't understand this concept and you live life from the lens of things happen outside of you and that all those things aren't just neutral, because all circumstances everywhere are neutral, guys. I'll do a whole other episode on this. Everything in life is neutral until you decide to have a thought about it. And that thought can be positive or negative. And just because you have that thought does not mean that it is true. Even if all kinds of other people have the same thought or the same belief, it does not make it true. Okay, it's still just a thought. Isn't that incredible? In fact, we have 60,000 thoughts a day, they believe, about 60,000 thoughts. And they say that about 50% of them are positive and 50% of them are negative. Okay, they actually believe that more of them are negative than we think. And most of us have just unsupervised minds, self-included sometimes. That's a lot of thoughts to pay attention to. But most of us have unsupervised minds and also are disconnected from our feelings, from all the sensations in our body, right? So we're not even attuned to what's happening, what our body's telling us. That's also fascinating, right? We have a lot of people disconnected from their own thoughts and their own body and looking outside of themselves at people or circumstances happening and deciding that's the problem, right? There's an issue with that. But everything that happens in life is neutral. Everything. Is that not the biggest aha moment for you and the biggest blessing? Now, some people are going to come to me and they're going to say, but what about really bad things? Really bad things, right? Someone gets in an accident and gets hurt. Somebody is assaulted. I'm not going to get into that in this episode today, but I do have a different theory on that than a lot of people do. There's a couple of us that agree on this, okay? I do believe We are always in the right place at the right time, and we're always getting the lessons that we need. Now, that does not mean that when someone gets hurt, that I am just going to step over that. I'm just going to diminish that experience or their emotional experience. Not at all. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. But I am saying that everything is always unfolding for us and happening for us. So we'll get into that in another episode. But if you don't understand how this works, okay, then you are going to be at the effect of the world around you a lot. You're going to think that everyone else is toxic, or everyone else is mean, or everyone else is too much, or everyone else is doing life wrong. You're going to go through that. You're going to walk life through that lens. And that is one of the most disempowering things you could do for yourself. And you would have learned that in your home growing up. That's all taught to you between birth and the age of 7. How you relate to others, the lens through which you see the world, which emotions you learn are okay and which emotions you learn are not good. It all is templated on you between birth and 7. It's wild. So cool. This stuff is so cool. Spot it, you got it is this concept that empowers us. It actually empowers us because it gives us an avenue through which we can start to reclaim our real selves. They do say that the best therapy is get in a relationship, have children. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more with that. And the concept of spot it, you got it, it's a similar way. It's another avenue, I should say, to uncovering the truth of who you are, right? Because get in a relationship, get children, you're just looking in mirrors and it's just like, holy jeez, right? Should you choose? Some people get into relationships and have children and they don't do all this work because they choose to see themselves as victims and everybody else outside of them is to blame and at fault, right? No shame if that's you. That was me. That was something I went through for sure. And sometimes still do. Okay. And we just got to have a lot of compassion for ourselves. We are human beings, we're spirits having a human experience. We go through a lot in childhood. It's all done by design that way, right? And we are evolving consciously, as a species. So it's all happening in divine timing. All right. So you're not the only one. You don't need to be hard on yourself about any of it. Spot it, you got it, right? It's this like real opportunity to reclaim your power. And it gives you this avenue for which you can enter. And you'll hear me say this and you'll hear other wonderful people say this. You enter through the upset. So whenever you're upset, okay, whenever you get upset about something or somebody does something and you're upset about that, that is your green flag. Some people think it's a red flag. Stop that. Don't go any further. But I always say, that's your green flag, babe. All right, let's go. Let's enter through that. We'll use the example of my eldest, right? She's dancing. I'm feeling a lot of feelings in my body, okay? And I just want to squash the whole thing. And I also want to like almost apologize for it to the other adults. God. Oh, heavens. Okay, and the first thing I want to do is I want to go, okay, I am upset about this. I'm uncomfortable about this. I'm not okay with this, right? And so I want to enter through that upset. And entering through it means I want to take a minute, not then and there, but I want to take a minute later and possibly carve out some space where I sit on a yoga mat or I'm on my bed or maybe I'm in the shower. And I want to bring myself back to those feelings that were coming up. So I'll visualize the experience, right? I'll visualize her in front of the mirror and she's got life force energy really moving through her and it's beautiful and her hips are really in it and it's kind of sexy, right? It's kind of edgy. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's feelings back. Okay, so you want to kind of recreate the feeling in your body without re-traumatizing yourself, which is something that I'm very skilled at when I work with clients. And there's a process where you can see what ended up happening when you were a kid. I'm going to take you through a little bit of science here. As children, we were having experiences in our lives, okay? And we were having feelings in our bodies. And depending on our parents' emotional maturity, either they were able to help us work through that emotion that was happening, those sensations in our bodies, right? All the way through to completion, right? So a little kiddo comes to you and says, I'm really scared about this test that's coming up, like I've got a quiz, grade 2s have quizzes. I've got a grade 2. I've got this quiz and I'm feeling really upset about it. And, as an emotionally mature parent, I will recognize, oh, she's feeling fear in her body. She's anticipating something bad's going to happen. Maybe she's feeling a little bit of anxiety. And so as an emotionally mature parent, first I'll hug her, right? So the first thing you want to do with feelings is you don't want to talk your way through them. Feelings don't want to be spoken about. They want to be felt, right? You ever heard this statement, feel it to heal it? Right. So right there, I'll be like, oh, okay, she's got a big feeling and she's coming to me to look to me to help her complete that feeling. It's the same thing with animals in the animal kingdom. So, if you see 2 lions on some sort of like Discovery show or Animal Planet show where they get into some sort of a fight, right? And they're going at it and they're like competing for something. And once the fight is done and they separate, you'll notice that they shake. Have you ever noticed your dog, when you encounter another dog on a walk, after the dogs part ways, your dog will shake? That is, in fact, how humans are also supposed to regulate themselves. Because what happens is, if you understand the nervous system, we have like a zone of tolerance, okay? And most of us have a very low zone of tolerance when it comes to sensations in our bodies because we were stopped from feeling our feelings. When animals are shaking, right, what they're doing is they're discharging the energy that they've taken on from the encounter with that animal. They're discharging some of that additional energy that happens in the nervous system. Okay, it's a very beautiful thing. Human beings are meant to do the same thing. Your zone of tolerance, right, will shrink the more you working through your feelings was interrupted. The more someone stopped you from feeling anxiety, fear, shame, excitement. The more someone stopped you in those moments, the more incomplete those cycles were, the more you will become, basically you will start to have to live in your head and you will resist your feelings and you will judge your feelings and you will criticize them and you won't even want to feel them. So my kiddo comes to me as an emotionally mature parent. I see that she's got a feeling. So I address the feeling first. So I realize, oh, she's got some anxiety. She's feeling fearful. I hug her. That's like animals shaking. Okay, so I hug her and that helps that feeling, those sensations in her body that are happening, it helps them because right then they're kind of heightened, right? So then we're going to down regulate them. The sensations are going to complete themselves. They're going to down regulate, right? You up regulate when you're feeling anxious or maybe you're feeling excited or maybe you're feeling embarrassed or humiliated, right? And then you want to complete the cycle of those emotions or those sensations by down regulating. And they go through a cycle. And so I'll give her a hug. I won't talk her through it, ideally, but I have. I definitely have. I am not perfect. Oh man, I realize how often I want to talk my way through it because I'm triggered. And so I will give her a hug, we'll down regulate, and then it will be complete. Now, if I was more of an emotionally mature parent, which I sometimes can be, what I will do is I will probably say to her, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. We're going to figure it out. You got this. One of those things. And while all of those things can be true and sometimes helpful, it doesn't help her body in that moment to tell her those things because the feeling itself needs to be processed first. So that's a really important fact. Okay, that's a really important tool, really helpful tool for parents, right? Most of parenting truly is about, can you support your child through their storm, help them weather their storms, whether you agree with the feeling or not, whether you think they're over exaggerating or not, whether you think it's warranted. It has nothing to do with you. But most of us didn't grow up being able to separate ourselves from our parents. We had to be the same as them. We had to see the world through the same lens. We had to feel the same way as they felt. We weren't allowed to have our own feelings. We have this neighbor and she, I would say, had a very challenging childhood. She's often that woman who's out on their front lawn reprimanding people and wanting to call the cops on the kids and all this stuff. Like, it's one of those situations, and as someone who is in the field of mental health and understands all this stuff, I have a lot of compassion for her. It doesn't excuse her behavior, but I do my best to explain to the children why this is all unfolding the way it is and that it has nothing to do with them. Don't take it personally. Here's what you want to do when it happens. You do want to walk away, create some safety for yourself, come inside the house, let us know. But she's not crazy. She's just not. She's just hurt. Hurt people, right? So yesterday, the kids were really all up in arms about this whole thing, right? And I thought that it was a little bit overkill. I was like, this is a little bit overkill, guys. Like, it's fine, you're safe. They wanted to tell everybody about it. I realized that my lens is different than their lens. They're kids. They're 10 and like a bunch of the girls were over. So they were between the ages of 7 and 10. And I realized, oh my God, I can't see this through my lens. I have to see it through theirs. They were very afraid and they wanted to go and make such a big deal about it. Okay. So that's an example of when we really need to like take a look at when we're parenting, allowing our children to have their own experience. You never want to tell your kid they're being too much or they're over exaggerating. Their feelings are real. And you just want to teach them how to work through the feeling. Emotionally mature parents and emotionally immature parents, there's a scale, there's a spectrum. I wouldn't say I'm like the most emotionally mature parent, but I wouldn't say I'm the most emotionally immature parent. I'm somewhere in the middle and I'm working on it. I think we're all working on it. And I think you just need to give yourself permission to be somewhere on the spectrum and have good days and bad days for sure. And spot it, you got it. You know, the more that you spot and the more you realize you're really uncomfortable around your kids doesn't mean you're like a totally emotionally immature parent. In fact, I would give yourself a lot of credit and a lot of kudos for even taking this on and allowing yourself to even see that you're having some sort of a reaction to this and that it doesn't add up to what's really happening, right? And that you probably are witnessing a part of yourself that you've disconnected yourself from or disembodied from, right? And this is your opportunity to reclaim it. How beautiful is that? We're all in this together. We're all doing our best. You really are. You know, when they say your parents did their best, I really get that now. I do, because no one is more shocked than me about all the stuff that's come up for me and how I've responded and reacted to some things. I'm just blown away by the whole thing, guys, in not so great ways. I've shown up. And I was shocked about that because it's like, shouldn't you know better? You're a life coach and you've done all this work. And I'm here to give you permission that it's not about being perfect. It's about awareness. It's about giving yourself the permission to be like 80% awareness, like, holy geez, I actually see this. It's also about repairing with your kid. Can you pull them aside after? Can you apologize, right? Can you point out where you were wrong? I was never apologized to as a kid, so that was something I also had to work on and started working on in my marriage, actually. My ex-husband was great at apologizing, and it shocked me. It was so strange for me and very healing for me, in fact. So spot it, you got it. The best gift you will ever give to yourself, if you only listen to one episode of this podcast, I hope it is this one. Everything, everyone is your mirror, 100% of the time. Let's say you have herpes. Okay, so my mentor, Shoshana Raven, she has herpes. And when she found out, she thought it was going to ruin her whole life. She had to sit back and think about that and be like, oh my God, this is it. My life is over. I'm ruined. And I can see why she would think that way, because we've definitely been conditioned to think that way, right? Even myself, for sure. And, you know, she had this moment where she's like, wait a minute, what if it isn't bad? She did a lot of research on it. And then, you know, eventually she told her story on her podcast, the Living Brave podcast, right? And that's so, so, so beautiful. And I'm very inspired by that. Now, there's a good chance that she came across people, though, that were shaming her for it. And were like, you're disgusting. This is terrible. Awful. What are you even doing? Or I don't want to sleep with you. I don't want to have sex with you, right? There's a possibility that that happened. And if she felt a charge in her body in those moments, that's a spot at you got it. That means that them thinking that it's a shameful thing is bumping up against the belief inside of her that it's a bad thing. It's like somebody coming to you, if you've got blonde hair, and saying, oh my God, your blue hair is so hideous. It's hideous. Like, what are you doing? You would look at them like they're totally out to lunch, right? You'd be like, you're insane. What are you even talking about? Because there's no validity to it. You don't have blue hair. You have blonde hair. And you would just walk away and carry on with your day, right? Now, if you believed that blue hair is hideous and stupid, you'd be triggered, because what they're doing is they're just showing you a part of yourself. Spot it, you got it. That's how that works. I hope that you've taken away something amazing from this episode. This is something I'm very, very passionate about. It's something that I've said for a very long time. I actually think I need to get a tattoo with this. I think we need to get shirts made. Michael has said that a number of times. My dreamy guy, he's like, honestly, I think you need to get that on a shirt, on mugs. Like, I've often thought about paraphernalia for my brand. And I was like, well, what would I even do? And I got to recommend this to other people. Have other people share what they would do. I think it's really, really helpful. What they see in you, I should say. I think people can see things that we can't because you just do it on a regular basis. It's so encoded in you. It's totally like in your blind spot, right? So are your gifts. What comes naturally and easy to you, you're just like, oh. Other people will tell you like, oh, it's such a thing that you do that like, I just don't have that skill and it's really amazing. And you're like, really? Interesting. You know? So 10 out of 10 recommend having other people look at what you should put as your marketing slogan. Spot It, You Got It is definitely mine and one that people have told me I need to do. All right, if you have enjoyed this podcast episode or you related to it or it helped you and you think it would help others, please share it with the people in your network, the people that you love. It would mean the world to me. It would also mean the world to me if you would rate it, leave a 5-star rating if you think you deserve that, or it can be less, that's fine, or a comment. It's so helpful for people like us, people especially like me. I want this information to reach the ears and the hearts of more people around the world, more women around the world. And that would help a lot. It helps to get platforms like Spotify and Apple and etc. pushing it out. So only if you feel called to it. Okay? And remember, as you're walking through your day tomorrow or today or the rest of the day or wherever you're at, spot it, you got it. Use that as a helpful avenue to uncover your real self and reclaim all your parts. I'll talk to you soon.